caught. I seen Scott number 2 checking his reflection in his camera phone. Hello and welcome to the Rangers Rabble Breaking News. I'm Martin and I'm joined by Scott Young, Cammy and Scott number 2. Obviously we're here because of the breaking news about Captain James Tavernier, and my gerbils have just started. Captain James Tavernier signing a contract extension until 2024. Cammy, what do you make of the news?
Wonderful news. I think we've spoke about it over the last few months. He's been outstanding this season. One of our players of the year, and it's just brilliant news falling on for Stephen Davis and Alan McGregor, and just shows. I don't imagine this conversation has just happened. I think they've probably been having it over the course of the last few months, and they just wanted to wait until the title was in the bag before they started to announce these deals. But aye, fantastic. That's him tied till, and he's getting ever closer to a testimonial, which I would never have believed I would ever see a Rangers player again get a testimonial. You know, it's fantastic. Delighted.
Do they still do testimonials? Do they?
I give 10 years. You know what I mean? I think Griggsy would probably across his two spells, but I think it has to generally be a continuous period, you know. And I think Tav stays fit. It's possible. We'll just enjoy the fact he's here till 2024 and see where it goes after that.
I know, because I think a lot of us were quite nervous that he hadn't signed a new deal yet. But we are live on YouTube, Facebook and Twitter, so get your comments in, like, share, subscribe and all that nonsense. Now, our good friend Scott Kennedy has commented, has Scott done his hair for the occasion? Now, I'm not sure what Scotty means. But I'm going to go for Kerr on this one. So, Kerr, have you done your hair especially for this breaking news?
Not for this breaking news, man. I just done my hair because I was, like I said, I was on a tennis ball. I was off frizzy, so I had to get something done there eventually. As for the breaking news, I'm delighted that Tav signed a new deal. That's what I was wanting for the start, for him to stay on. He's the captain. He's done so much for us over the last few years. He's been here for a long time, and he deserves to win the league this year. And hopefully he can win a couple before he does eventually leave. But even if he does leave before his deal's over, it protects the club as well. So I'm delighted he's signed that deal.
How big is this for Rangers, Scott Young?
It's
too many
massive.
Scots.
It's massive because Scottish football in general is normally a place where people come for 2-3 years and then leave for down south. But the fact we've seen Tav sign a new deal proves that he wants to stay here. He wants to continue his legacy. He wants to play Champions League. So I'm delighted he's staying, not just for Rangers, but for Scottish football in general.
That's a very good point, Cammy, actually, because if you look at Tav's numbers, his performances, he could easily have had a big move down south if he wanted, and he would have went for free. But he's chosen to stay. Obviously loves the club, won his first title, and he's hungry for more success.
I mean, I think he gets that first trophy, and I think the manager set the tone when we won the title, and I think Tav's on the same page. You know, it's only the start. You know, the key to this is continue, retain the title, get into the Champions League, and that's what Tav's. Listen, he could have made 50-60 grand a week by going down south without any doubt at all. But he's potentially going to be forever remembered as a Rangers captain that's going to go on and lift 5, 6, 7, 8 trophies. You know what I mean? That's what you've got to aspire to over the next couple of years. You know what I mean? He'll be forever a Hall of Fame, his future Hall of Fame inductee, without any shadow of a doubt, for being the captain that's led us to 55. I just love his character. You know, I just love he's been through the mill over the course. He's went through some absolute desperate times, some desperate managers, and he's got a manager and a coaching staff that have improved him no end. But I think his mentality, his inner strength, and his resilience is to be commended. It's just fantastic. It's brightened up. It's brightened up a very cold Monday.
I know, it's absolutely ball. As you can tell by my bedhead, I didn't get out of my bed until I seen the news, and I went, "Oh no, I'm going to need to go on camera and look like a right tit." Kerr, some people might say, "Oh, look, this might be a bit of a blow for young Patterson." Obviously, he's come in and he's looked brilliant. He's done really well. But could this not also be a positive for Patterson as well?
It could be, because he's still young. He's only signing a deal for the end of 2024, so it's not like he's going to be in front of Nathan for a long time. Plus, he's going to be learning for Tab as well. It's only going to help Nathan. So you don't know what the manager's got in store either. I'm just happy he signed, that Davis signed, McGregor. I'm hoping Golson follows suit, and maybe Kamara, just to hold the core of the team for next season. Because I always feel it's hard to win the second one, and it is the first one. I don't want to win a trophy for a while, but winning this one was really good. But I like to do it again next year, just to prove everybody wrong on a flash plan.
Can I just quickly say I do actually realise it is Tuesday, but
I'm going to say that.
the holiday, you know what? The holiday weekend, it's like
there's no excuse for that.
I've seen a few people the day I've actually made the same mistake, so I can't believe at 4 o'clock I've only just realised it's Tuesday. But I'll just go back. I'll go back to bed.
This freezing cold Monday morning. And just on that point, Scott, that Kerr was making, Fog Dogs put in McGregor, Davis, Tavernier. Now Kamara, Morelos, Golden. Do you expect at least one or two of the three to sign new deals, or do you expect Rangers to maybe roll out in the coming days, coming weeks? Everybody signed up to a new deal.
I'm thinking, I expect Goldson. I 100% see Goldson. Kamara's a question mark. And I think Morelos is more likely than Kamara. But Kamara's the biggest question mark out of those three to stay. 100% expect Goldson, because I think he wants to play Champions League. And don't think he'll play Champions League anywhere else. Kamara and Morelos, depends on where they go. I feel like they could get Champions League somewhere else. So the other, Kamara and Goldson's question marks, but I 100% expect Goldson to be the next one.
I know, and Cammy, people just see, look, Tav signs new deal, and we all congratulate Tav, and we're all excited because he's our captain, one of our best players, one of our main goal threats. But how much of a pat in the back does Ross Wilson and Steven Gerrard need to take for managing to convince Tavernier to stay? Or maybe they didn't have to convince him much, but how much of a pat in the back did they take?
I mean, the manager and Ross Wilson have done a fantastic job particularly I would say over the last 12 months during these difficult times. You know, I mean, I don't think Tav would have taken a great deal of persuading. I mean, I think his family had done a piece in one of the websites a couple of weeks ago, where his mum, his brother, everybody was saying that he loves life in Glasgow. I think even when he stops playing, he'll probably, this will be his home forever. You know, so it's he's obviously he's bought into what Rangers is all about. You know, so I full credit to, I think the board as well, because I don't imagine he stayed on the same wages. I'm sure we've probably had to incentivise his contract. You know, I mean, signing on fee, maybe an extra $5,000 a week, potential, as I said earlier on, for a testimonial. You know, I mean, there's carrots all the way through. Might be increase every year that he stays. You just don't know. So. And I think in these difficult times, financially, I think it's fair play to the club. Davis, McGregor, Tav, that's a chunky weekly wage across just the three players.
I know, I'm just sitting there thinking, oh, what a contract extension. So, look, Cammy made this point, Kerr. I think it was actually you, Cammy, that put it on Twitter. Do we see James Tavernier always just being the right back for Rangers, or as he starts to maybe progress in age, do we see him maybe being able to play a wee bit further forward, Kerr?
Honestly, he probably could, Martin. I mean, he started his career as a winger with Newcastle, so he was always an offensive player anyway. So that's how he probably likes to get forward as much. Being a right back, he developed into it, didn't he? So it depends what manager wants. It depends if the manager might change the formation. We just don't know what Stevie G is going to do. But I'm just glad, back to Tav, I'm just actually glad he is staying because he's been the whipping boy for so many seasons. The fans, he's always been the one that's everybody's jumped on his back. Tav's this, Tav's that, Tav can't defend. Doesn't matter if he's assist, he can't defend. Under every manager, he's been a whipping boy. So to see him lift the trophy in a couple of weeks' time and get a new deal, I'm just delighted he proved everybody wrong. And I'm glad he's staying. But I think, as for your question, I think the manager could probably play him further forward, just depending on any other players we'll bring in. Because I do see players coming in, I do see players leaving.
What do you think, Scott? Do you think maybe Tav could reinvent himself as he gets a few years older, leaving space obviously then for Patterson to come in?
Maybe as he said, maybe a right winger, but I don't see him moving it at Miller Park. Probably a right winger's the only place I can see him moving in the near future.
Cammy, what about yourself? Obviously, you were shaking your head. You don't think it's possible.
No.
But somebody did put on Twitter, and I think it might be a fair comparison, that Fernando Rickson made that shift for right back to centre mid. Obviously, Fernando had that mare at Parkhead or Ibrox, I can't remember, where Dick Advocaat took him off after like 25 seconds. But Fernando made that switch, so why can't Tav?
Just for me, different types of players. You know, I just think Tav's a fullback that's better coming onto the play. You know, I just think that the switch, like say Morelos drops into midfield, pings the crossfield pass onto Tav, and I just think the way that we play suits our two fullbacks. It suits Nathan Patterson sort of situation. You know, for me, I know it was during the sort of Pedro, Warburton, or that sort of era. I do remember Tav playing a couple of games in the centre of midfield. We beat Aberdeen by a couple of goals at Ibrox, and he ran about a lot, but didn't really have the positional awareness for me at that time. I know it was a few years ago and he's developed a lot. Sure, we went to Tynecastle just after it and he got hooked very early, but Tav as a player has developed a heck of a lot over the course of his Rangers career, and I think that was 2 or 3 years ago. But for me, he's a right back, and that's where he'll play the vast majority of his games. I think the difficulty is how Steven Gerrard continues the development of Nathan Patterson, but that's another conversation.
No, definitely. And just a wee comment for David Baird. Good news to have signing longer deal has been immense, along with Goldson and Xhaka and Davis. Great news for the Bears, and Patterson's time will come. And Fogdog said, and I'll take this to you, Scott, his delivery from wide areas is too crucial than moving him into the middle of the park. Do you agree with that? Scott Young. Many Scots.
Yeah, I think as Cammy said, I think him coming onto the play is much better than him receiving it high up. He's better at bringing it from his own half, running, whipping, cracking balls into the box. I can't see him. He's not more of a creative to play one through the defence. He's more one plays round defence from wide, if that makes sense. So I do think him playing from wide is the best place for him. As we've seen, he's been one of our best players this season. And just to touch on something that Scott said about his leadership, there's something I noticed every single Rangers player gets interviewed on Rangers TV, ask about teammates, and they all ask who's the loudest, and they say Tav and Goldson. And to me that was a surprise, because people think Tav's just this quiet captain, but the players seem to think he's such a leader on and off the park, which we've seen in droves this season especially.
I know, and he was criticised for that, Kerr, as I just get a phone call. He was criticised, I know it's mental, Kerr, for, when he was first made captain, he's not a captain this, he's never a captain that, and maybe he had a few dodgy performances in between, but he's been all round steady, and I think he's actually been a fantastic captain for this team.
I agree, man. I think fans look at the players and think, well, he can shout a lot, so we'll make him captain, or he's loud, and let's make him captain. But you've got so many different attributes to be a captain. As Scott said, his leadership is one of the things that he stands out for him. If the players respect him, and the players look up to him, and the players listen to him, that's what a captain does. It's not about shouting at teammates. Sometimes you have to be put arm round their shoulder and stuff like that. So it's not always just about shouting. So no, I think you've been a good captain for us. I can see the sense about Alan McGregor, but Alan gets involved too much. So to me, Tav's a perfect captain. Coulson as well would be a good captain because he's the same. Cameron Antoine leads by example. So two of them are really good, but no, Tav's. I appreciate what Tav does.
See, for me, the captain, Steven Gerrard was a fantastic captain himself. Stevie Gerrard wouldn't have... he made him his captain straight away. He would have put somebody else in very quickly if he found he didn't like what Tav was doing around about the dressing room and on the park and what have you. I think there's always been this. See, if you don't clench your fist and run about kicking people, that doesn't make you a captain. There's loads of ways to show leadership, and it's repeat myself again. I honestly cannot wait to see him lift the league trophy on the 15th of May. Getting emotional just talking about it, because it was, we spoke about it when we won the league, and listen, he deserves this opportunity to extend his contract. 12 months ago, him and Stevie Gerrard were under massive pressure. That's the only positive that's came out of this last 12 months is the fact that Rangers have actually came through the last year far stronger. Players, Tav, Golston, the manager, it's night and day to where we were 12 months ago, and that's to the individual's credit and the club's credit.
And I think Craig kind of agrees with you, Cammy. It's the way he speaks and interacts with the players. You don't need to be loud to make an impact. And Scott Young, he makes, I think, one of Tav's biggest impacts on this team is through his performances on the pitch. Yeah.
As the best way to lead is lead by example. And that's what he does every single game almost he plays. That's why he's 17 odd goals this season. So obviously some penalties, but 17 odd goals, 11 assists. He's part of a back line that's conceded 9, 10 goals, something like that in the league. So leading by example is the best way to lead. And we've had captains in the past. Stephen Davis under Walter Smith, around about 2010, 2011 time. He was captain, but he wasn't vocal. He just led by example by being best player in the park most games. And Tav's obviously taking some from him, obviously taking some from the manager. As Cammy said, one of the best captains in English Premier League history. And I just lean by example is the best way to lead.
That's the third time you've said that. You had that written down before we started, didn't you?
I don't know anything done before this.
You had that well written down, man. I need to use that. Here's a point, Kerr. We're going to slightly off topic here, but hearing the players without the fans has probably helped us understand how the players communicate throughout a match. I suppose that's kind of true.
I think you've seen a video on, I don't know if it was Twitter or Facebook or something, they post something during one of our games, and you heard Tav tell him to go, go, go. I actually seen it for your retweet, Cam. I think you heard Tav in one of the games, I can't remember what game it was, but he's telling folk, go, 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 when we were pressing. We went to sit back off, he's like, no, go, 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 press. So that's the type of captain as he was telling people what to do, telling people to get in position. So when you can hear that, when there's no fans there, you can see what they do. It's when there's 40,000 people shouting. You don't see what they do because you miss half the game as well with talking to people or singing. So watching it without fans, I'm not saying I enjoy it better because obviously you want to be there, but you appreciate what the players are doing. You appreciate more what they're saying to each other because you can hear it. So the game's a bit different. But no, fantastic. I'm happy Tav staying, Martin. Very happy. And that's why you need to get your bed. Remember the morning Wednesday.
I know. So just finishing up on Tav then, Cammy, and I think it was you that mentioned it. Regardless of how much more money he's on or incentives, he's worth every penny, is he not?
Without a shadow of a doubt, it's I think he'll be well rewarded. But I think he's clearly shown that it's not just about it's not about money. I think young Scott made the point. He could have went down south quite easily, but went to a Brighton or a Crystal Palace or something along those lines. But he's got an opportunity to be forever remembered as when I'm telling my grandkids the stories in years to come about James Tavernier, the Rangers captain that led us to 55, and he stayed for 56, 57, 58, and he got a testimonial and all that sort of stuff, you know. And I hope he ends his Rangers career with us now. But this contract extension, this contract extension rewards him and protects the club with regard to any potential move in the next year or so.
I know, do you know, why did you have to bring something up? When I say that's us, we'll move on, you bring something up and I need to take another point to somebody. What did you do that for? Because I totally forgot about that. Kerr, that's a very valid point that the idiot below me makes. It's also, and I don't know how I never thought of this, but it's also very clever from the club that it protects them. And if anybody does want Tav, they're going to have to pay a fine shilling for him.
Yeah, that's what most contracts do, anyway, Martin. You might know a player might want to stay longer, or they might only want to stay for another year. So you tell me to sign for 2. It's just what gives you some money back. You know what I mean? Unless the player's been there a long time, you say like loyalty, maybe like Man City doing Aguero, walk away for free. But we're in that position, we can't afford things like that. So sign a couple of seasons, stay for next season, Champions League. If we get a decent offering, who knows? But it's good the club's looking after himself as well, because at the end of the day, the club's bigger than any player.
I think, sorry to come back in, see the conversation earlier on where the comment where they listed all the players. I think that Golson, it's the same situation. Morelos, it's the same situation. Kamara, it's about getting them a contract, rewarding them, but also protecting the club. But I still think that the Champions League is a real opportunity. If we were to make the group stages and their players totally show up well, it makes their value better. It also means that the clubs that come in for them are of a better calibre. But I think Ross Wilson deserves enormous credit, and he's a clever guy, and he's looking after the players. But his job is to look after the club and the value and the balance sheet and all that sort of stuff.
I know, and no, it's fantastic news for the club. I'm delighted to have staying. He's one of my favourite players, and here's hoping that he is here for 56, 57 and 58. Just very quickly for anybody watching, should I take my wee picture down? Because Cammy's putting me to shame, man. I've just realised it looks so lonely up there, doesn't it?
I'll send you a couple of pictures. It's all right, son.
Thanks very much, Dad. And remember, by the way, when you're telling your grandkids in years to come that you're doing it on a Tuesday, not a Monday. Right, so I asked you guys before if you wanted to discuss this, and it's something that needs discussed, but it's something that kind of angers me a wee bit. But Scott Young, I'll come to you. And look, UEFA have released a kind of statement to say that, you know, following an investigation conducted by UEFA Ethics and Disciplinary Inspector regarding the incidents that occurred during the 2020-2021 Europa League round of 16 second leg match between Rangers and Slavia Praha on the 18th of March 2021. Proceedings have been opened against Mr. Kudela. I would go on and read the rest of it, but there really is not much point. So old cynical hat on, Scott Young, what do you expect to come for all this?
Nothing. Genuinely, he's been given a 1-match ban, but that was after he said he wasn't going to travel to the match. So that 1-match ban is pointless. It's UEFA are looking as if they're doing something, but they're not really doing anything. Mm-hmm. And I've said this since the very beginning. I don't expect anything to happen with racist. I don't even want to say his name, but I don't expect anything to happen. Both teams will probably get fined about 10 grand for failing to control their players. And apart from that, it will just be brushed under the carpet as it always is.
That's a sad thing, Kerr. We see so many incidents like this, and there's a furore for about 2 or 3 days. It all dies down. We forget about it until the next one, and UEFA just never really seem to do anything about it.
It's shocking, Martin, because it's not the first time it's happened in football. As you know yourself, it's been going on for years. And I'm to be honest, since before we were born, and it's not. I mean, people say it's getting better. It's probably just the same. Do you know what I mean? It's like I've had so many incidents in the last few years to do something, come out and do stuff, and they do absolutely nothing. You've seen teams abroad walking off. You've seen even big players like Romelu Lukaku complaining, and nothing happens. UEFA just say they'll do something, then do a wee investigation, and nothing ever happens. What are these guys meant to do? See, to be honest with you, if I was one of these players that happened to myself, I'd actually walk off. I wouldn't continue playing the game because the players have to take a stand because authorities aren't.
It's one of the problems here, Cammy, and please, anybody watching, this is not a defence in the slightest. But it's one of the problems here that, unfortunately, this is one of the he said, she said kind of things on the park that UEFA, as much as they maybe want or don't want, or let's face it, nobody knows. Well, UEFA want money, we know that. But it's a case of Kamara says he said this, he said no, I never, end of story.
Very possibly. UEFA they pay lip service to it. They're not interested in actually. It happens everywhere. When Nicholas Bednar gets fined more for advertising a brand boxer shorts because he took his top and his shorts off, he got fined 25 grand. Raheem Sterling and the England players, or I think something like that, it was 5 grand to the Czech Football Association or whatever country it was. You know, they just, their priorities are all wrong. But I genuinely don't think they are actually interested in getting to the crux of it and punishing. I had a wee read at it. Kamara is potentially looking at a 5-match ban here for obviously giving a bit back in the tunnel after the game. You know, so this racist for Slavia Prague is going to miss this game against Arsenal. If he's found not proven, not guilty, what happens to him? Nothing. You know, our player gets punished for giving him something back, quite rightly. And so who's the loser in the situation? And it's Scott was bang on. But both clubs will be fined. You've read this, you've seen this movie so many times before with UEFA, and it's just I don't enjoy even having the conversation. And Sky Sports News every other day, it's somebody being racially abused. I think there was a situation with Valencia there at the weekend, and I'm seeing bits and pieces with regard to that, and it's just. It seems to be getting worse, and it's almost as if it's just like it's accepted now. You know, it's just it's horrendous for all the players that are abused on social media, that are abused on the park, abused wherever it may be. It's a society problem, but I certainly don't believe it's just restricted to football. But as ever, it's football that's the main interest to most of the population, so it's highlighted.
This pains. Hold on, 2 seconds, Kerr. 2 seconds before you come in, because this pains me, and I really have to say it because now there's been an investigation opened. Alleged, obviously, Kamara in the tunnel. We don't know, and alleged racism. I have to say it because there's an investigation, but we all know what we know. Sorry, Kerr, on you go.
I'm going to say I agree with Cammy to a point in saying society's problem. It is, but what's the point of these players taking a knee, doing everything, and then things like this happen and nothing's ever done about it? What's the point of this? It's making a statement for no reason. Actually put some practice into it, or something into it. I don't know what they're going to do, but put something out there to say, listen, if this happens, if a player does it and he gets found guilty, or you hear somebody doing it, ban them for life. This isn't a ban 1-match ban for calling somebody a name. This is serious. This is not just you're actually bringing somebody's ethnic origin into it. It's nothing else. I mean, you say that out in the street, you get to jail. So why should football be any different in any walk of life? It shouldn't be. So it's time UEFA, FIFA, whoever takes a stand on this and stop pussyfooting about and saying, let's take a knee and show everybody we support this. You don't support it. Let's actually sort the problem out. If it has to mean banning players for life, you ban players for life.
And do you know what?
See the thing with the incident. I think UEFA's investigation, as much as I don't hold a great belief as to what's going to actually happen, Bongani Zungu was obviously right next to it. His reaction tells you his evidence is obviously going to be heard as well. I would imagine other players that were in the vicinity. We're just surmising that Zungu's the only one that's actually heard what has been said. There was a lot of players in and around that sort of situation, so it might not just be as clear cut as he said, she said sort of situation. It might be.
I hope so.
They have to obviously have the weight or the other players that were round about it.
Yeah, just to sort of follow up on what Kerr said. FIFA, as soon as FIFA or UEFA or FA or SFA, whoever it was, brought in taking the knee, they thought that was a put feet up racism. That's it's players' problem now. We don't need to do anything with it. Players take the knee, that's them showing a unity, but it doesn't do anything. Everyone in this situation, apart from Kamara and Rangers, can do more. Racist, because obviously not say the alleged comment in the first place. Slavia Prague can stop with their nonsense statements about pressurising all this bollocks. Instagram about Roof can ban the people for life, ban their IP address for life, so that they can't make another account to do the same thing. It's just bollocks. The full thing has been handled so badly by everyone involved, and something needs to be done, or else it's just going to happen again.
100%, I completely agree. And look, I'll come on here every single podcast and talk about racism and ways to eradicate it. I've got no qualms in doing it. I don't care how repetitive it sounds, because it's something that affects me and my family for reasons that I won't go into. But it does. I can't stand it. I've never understood how anybody can be racist about anything. I even forgot what point I was going to make, so I'll bring up this comment while I try and remember it.
It's Tuesday, Martin.
It's Tuesday, it's not Monday. Should Rangers have pulled their players off the park that night, would have made more of a statement? Look, I thought about that. We spoke about it at the time, and I thought, maybe it would make more of a statement. No, it would have made more fuss for a couple of days, Cammy. And then we would have went back to the exact same place that we're in now.
UEFA would still have dealt with the situation and the way that they're going to go about it. It would have been, it'd have been forgotten about by the Monday. It wouldn't have. It's like taking a stand, taking a knee, all well-meaning gestures and what have you, but it needs more. It needs far more. It needs far more actions than gestures like that, in my opinion.
I know. And if only every racist on the planet actually looked back at their origins to see where they really come from. But we'll leave that there now, guys, and we shall just finish off quickly then. Since we're here, we might as well talk about the Hibs game on Sunday. Kerr, is there any point in even going to it?
I wish I could go to it.
Sorry. Is there any point in the players going there, or should we just give Hibs a 3-0 and move on?
No, I'm hoping we don't. I'm going to go through the season undefeated still. I'm still looking for that carrot, so I'm still hoping we go through the season undefeated. I want the Scottish Cup first of all, but I just like to go through the season undefeated. I think that'd be good for us.
Any worries, Scott, that the players might be a little bit under-motivated? I say that knowing exactly who our manager and backroom team are, but is there any worries of that?
There was some worries, and then the Scottish Cup draw was made. And as soon as we drew them in the cup, the players realised there's an Old Firm Cup draw to play for here. I want to start that game. So as soon as that was made, I think that motivated the players in themselves. I think Defoe said after the Cove Rangers game, the draw motivated the players for that Cove Rangers game because they knew we can play Celtic. And I think it'll be the same for the Hibs game. They want to be motivated. They want to put in their shift to start that game.
That's a great point, Cammy, actually, and it's something I never thought of. This is why I ask questions and don't make points. But has maybe that fourth round Scottish Cup draw kind of reinvigorated the players to go in the league this season then? Because there's places up for grabs.
Listen, I think the performances of some of the players at the weekend, Scott Wright, for example, I think there's 4 or 5 players vying for that right-hand side berth in the front three, so it'll be interesting to see what starting lineup is on Sunday. I think there'll be players that have not played since the Celtic game. I think Kent, Morelos will certainly come back into it. They'll be absolutely bursting to go after the best part of 3 weeks without a game. So I think it's important that the two of them get 90 minutes under their belt and a positive performance. But I think there's, particularly in that area, I think there's a lot of competition for places, and I think the season could, we could have drawn St John. No disrespect, we could have drawn the fifth round potentially. The fifth round tie against St Johnstone wouldn't have been quite as exciting, shall we say? So, but you've got this Celtic game in a couple of weeks' time that, the intensity at training, the intensity on Sunday should be high, because everybody's going to want to be in that starting lineup and hopefully finish their season with 5 weeks to go.
And the thing is as well, Kerr, is not going to be an easy game, I wouldn't imagine, because I'm just looking up at Hibs form, and they've won 3, drawn 2 and lost 1 in their last 6, which might not sound great, but I mean, Jack Ross has kind of got that. Jack Ross is still the manager, isn't he? He hasn't been sacked, has he?
No, I think he's still the manager. Right.
He's still the manager. Jack Ross is a decent manager, whatever you think about him, and Hibs always seem to give us a game most of the time.
They do. No, Hibs always play against Rangers at Easter. Doesn't matter when we play them if we're in the league, they always play really well against us. So they'll buck for it, and it'll be a decent game of football. I'm just hoping we come away with a victory, but I mean, Hibs will just try to fighting as high as they can finish in the league. I mean, they know themselves get a chance to finish very high if they keep winning, because teams above them are playing great. So they'll be coming out looking for 3 points. Jack Ross will put them that way, coming for 3 points. And they're putting against Rangers, so it's always a big occasion anyway, because if they beat us, we're the first team to beat us in the league as well. So I'm just hoping we go there, do what we always do and get a victory.
And that's the thing, Scott. We might not have anything to play for in the league apart from obviously finishing the season unbeaten, but Hibs have certainly got a lot to play for.
Yeah, so I've just got the table up here. They've got a 7-point gap between them and Aberdeen, so they look like they're going to finish third. So I think more what they're fighting for is just a points total. I think they've got third in the bag, but I think we're fighting for more in terms of finishing the league unbeaten than what Hibs are fighting for. Because I think they've got third place under wraps.
How close are they to finishing second?
They're 13 points to finishing second.
I know. So
I think second is just ahead of them.
Just ahead of them. Are they closer to second than at second or closer to first?
Yeah.
That's just embarrassing. Anyway, right. So with all that said, Cammy, what kind of? I don't want individual players that you think is going to start, because I think at this point it's impossible to call really. But what kind of? Do you expect an experimental team? Actually, is a better question for Hibs.
I don't think so. I think you'll find, as I said earlier, the players that haven't played since the Celtic game. I think Kent, Morelos, to name a couple, they weren't away on international duty. I think Kent, Morelos, Griggsy, they'll come back into the starting lineup. I don't think it'll be far away from the team that started against Cove. I think Borna will come back in, but I think maybe those 3 or 4, and that'll be us. But I think there'll be plenty of opportunity to give squad players minutes after the Scottish Cup tie and in the remaining league matches. But I don't think this weekend will be experimental at all.
You go along with that, Kerr? Because I've seen you nodding your head there like a wee happy dog.
I think even Gerard's that type of manager. He's professional. He wants to win every game, no matter if they're tied up or not. So I think, like Cammy says, he knows like a cup tie coming up, and he'll play his best 11. He thinks he's going to win that game. So I don't think he'll experiment too much.
Right. So a question for all yous, and whoever answers first gets to talk about it more. I can't even think of the word. Do you know that way? I've just got out of my bed. Name me one player who you think could be a surprise starter on Sunday. Go.
Scott Wright.
That's not a surprise, Scott Young, is it?
Well, considering he hasn't started a lot of league games, I'd say it's a surprise. Because he only had sub minutes. Obviously, Scottish Cup is great. But I think Scott Wright. I think it'll be Wright, Morelos, Kent as a front three.
If we get any advance on Scott Wright, do we see any maybe a Greg Stewart starting or just a no for Greg Stewart? Such a shame. Right,
Greg Stewart's a fine player.
Listen, nothing against Greg Stewart. He's lived his dream for the last 2 years. I think he's barely kicked a ball this season, but I think he done okay at the weekend for 15-20 minutes. He done okay the game that we beat St Mirren the day that we won the league. It's to his credit that he's been able to do that. He's going to leave in the summer after 2 years with a league winners medal in his hip, and hopefully a Scottish Cup winners medal. So no, listen, the levels have just went up in the course of the 2 years Greg Stewart's been there. I don't think there's really anybody that would be a surprise, a surprise starter. I mean, I don't, a Jack Simpson or something. I don't think so. I think it'll be as strong as we possibly can ahead of the semi-final for me.
Kerr, John McLaughlin or Alan McGregor?
McGregor.
I love the one. Great.
And I've won against John McLaughlin. He's done really well when he's played, but you're going to pick a goalkeeper. If Alan McGregor's fit, he starts.
Right, okay. Right, let's finish this up then. Prediction and first goal scorer. Kerr.
Always go with me. Prediction 2-1. First goal scorer Morelos.
God, you think we're going to get beat 2-1?
No, 1-2-1.
Cammy.
Ryan Kent, first goal scorer. Rangers 2-0.
Scott.
1-0 and a Connor Coulson header. First goal scorer.
I kind of hope it is 1-0 because I'm working on Sunday. So I hope it is a pure boring 1-0 and all you have to sit and watch it while I'm hard at work. But listen, that'll do us there for the kind of breaking news pod. Thank you to Scott and Scott. And thank you to everybody watching and everybody listening. Obviously, we're on YouTube. Like, subscribe, share, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all that nonsense. And we shall speak to you again very, very soon.